The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to The Art Beat. I'm your host, Peter Martins, and this week on KLZK 105.7, I am here with Karen Ray, who is the theater specialist from the Texas Tech UIL office. So she gets to do administration and focus in on one of our major art forms that we serve here in the Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts. Hello, Karen.
Hello, how are you?
Great. So maybe first, could you tell us a little bit about your position, the sorts of things that you deal with on a week-to-week basis in the UIL office at Texas Tech? I bet a lot of our listeners maybe don't even know that office exists.
That's right. We're one of the few universities that do keep the UIL office on our campus. And we represent all the regionals for, I guess it's 4A and 5A. And hold a lot of the track meets. It's athletics, of course. UIL does athletics, academics, and one at play. So we do those things out of our office. We also do a lot of the athletics for the 1 through 6A that do the regional tracks, and I do not do that. I'm busy getting everything ready. I have a director's workshop that helps new teachers in theater, and also the older ones come back and get some different ideas and get to speak to some professionals that have done very well in the field and give them some new ideas and directions. So I do that director's workshop. Usually I'll probably do it in September this year to get us started off strong. And there's a lot of small towns that we try to include all in this area, that sometimes it's the Spanish teacher that ends up having to teach theater and they have no idea. So it's great for them, but then we get really good creative ideas from some of those, and kind of get inspired again. So that goes on. And then in the spring, starting in February, I actually start my district meets I put a contest manager is what I am. I wouldn't be a judge because to me they all win, but I hire the judges and do the contracts for that and put together all the contests, and I do about 10 before I get to the regional contests that Tech holds for the 4 and 5A groups. We have 6 schools from each of those, and they come from our region goes from El Paso all the way over to New Mexico, a border, and then we go up to Amarillo and over to Fort Worth. So pretty good bunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that we're talking here this time of year is that you also are at the head of something on campus, on the Texas Tech campus in the School of Theater and Dance, the Theater and Technical Camp.
Yes, that is true. We have, right now, it's been one of the biggest for the last few years as far as theater camps, and one of the only technical camps that gets them ready for technical contests. So we put those all together, and about 125 is what we kind of limit to students, and then we do 7 shows. Within 12 days, they get them auditioned. They get them cast. We put together all the costumes, sets, and everything, and lighting, and we have the shows on the 12th day, and they are fantastic. We have 7 shows that we'll be doing, and each of our directors is a state-winning director that's won state UIL. So the kids really get some, not that their teachers aren't really good, but this director just says it a different way. So that you might listen this time. We'll see. But anyway.
Right. So I know the camp runs July 9th through the 20th. Are all of those performances on the 20th, or are they spread out a little bit?
They're all on the 20th.
Okay.
Because the kids all want to see each other and don't want to leave till it's over. So we've just put them all on the same day, back to back. And actually, when you do contests, you only have 40 minutes, 7 minutes to clear the stage, and then the next group comes in. So we kind of follow that procedure and get them off stage and bring the next play on. So
okay. Yeah. And so that's all in the Machen Theater on the Tech campus on July 20th, and it's open to the public, I'm sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Starting at 12 o'clock that day, we'll be hitting it.
Fit a lot of theater in.
Oh, yes.
Now, you mentioned
theater.
the format there, that 40-minute format, which is the standard one-act play
Yes.
format. Now, my son does high school theater, and I've gotten to see him in several of these productions, but it's not a format that I was really familiar with before that. So where does one act come from? What's the history? Is it a thing more in Texas than other parts of the country, or how did it come to be so dominant?
That's an interesting question. It actually started at Texas Tech in 1936. Was the first place that they held the one-act play contest. Now Austin has it, but that's okay. We'll be nice. But that is where it started. And actually, compared to other states that at least I've visited with, talked to, we do a very professional job and get students really ready for the professional world through our UIL contests, because the technical really is very technical. And the acting, of course, is really high level. If you go to the state, really even the regional contests here, you see some outstanding acting. And they learn to cut it. The directors cut the shows. And, of course, that's a challenge, too. We address that in the director's workshop. But they get it down to 40, and those kids learn how to, if it's running long, they can shut it down together and, ad-lib it out. And it's really cool to see them. That's part of being professional.
Yeah, that's an interesting component to it. That kind of speaks that this model has, started, I guess, at Tech and in kind of the public schools in the UIL. It's obviously spread to private schools, of course, certainly in Texas, but you kind of mentioned that it has spread to other parts of the country as well?
Well, I just talked to other Oklahoma, New Mexico. Their contests are very different than ours. They're very low key and whatever they do. It doesn't seem quite as rigid as ours is. So that's kind of what I'm going by. Just visiting with other directors from other states. They're very impressed with what we do here in Texas.
Well, it does seem like something that's more of a bite-sized project that a smaller school can take on. You don't necessarily need a big cast.
That's right.
Smaller technical crew. Now, you mentioned that this camp at Texas Tech here this summer that the School of Theater and Dance puts on is somewhat unique in the technical field. So, we think of theater and there's actors and someone writes the play. We don't maybe care who that is, right? And there's some lights and maybe someone's by a soundboard. But what is the full scope of the technical side?
Oh, Lord, the technical side is, of course, really where the money is. I can get a job right out of school very quickly. But our students, especially in the UIL program, they turn in costume designs. They take one play that they'll do for the year to work on costume design, set design, how to lay out a stage, management. There's just 5 or 6 now. Props, I think, is one thing they've put together. You can work as a group on the marketing, and otherwise they're individual. And they go to a regional contest, and if they advance from there, they go directly to state. And once you go to state in any UIL contest, band, choir, whatever it is, if you get to state, you qualify for a very nice scholarship for any Texas state school. We like Texas Tech, but there's others they can go to, rudely, but yes, they can. So it's really a great chance for them to get scholarships for college. And, of course, the actors, it's just a lot harder to overcome when you're up against so many schools to get there to regional in the acting. But in the technical, there's just one contest that you've got to overcome. So what we do the first 4 days, we have a man in that sent kids to state many times, and they work on the one for next year. And we have specialists in that do costume design, that do lighting. Here at Tech, we'll be working with lighting and shop and set design and all that, and work with the students on being able to do that. Then after those 4 days, then they get to go actually work the shows. They'll be assigned a show. They're going to stage manage light, sound, everything. So they really get a good taste of coming through for about 10 days and coming up with it.
That sounds pretty intense.
It is. We work from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. In the last 15 years, I've not had a problem with a student. I mean, they are so excited to get in and get going, and everybody's so dedicated that they're just exhausted at night. So they just fall in bed.
Can't get into trouble, right?
No. After the second day, that's it. They're not doing anything. Going to sleep.
Well, I've talked to a few of my colleagues in the theater area here, and there are positions in the School of Theater and Dance that are purely technical most of the year, right? The person doing the electrician and costume shops and that sort of thing. And they really seem to enjoy this experience because they get to do instruction that they maybe don't really get to do. They're actually doing the professional part of their job most of the year, but this is a chance for them to share that with some young and eager students from all over the state, I guess. So
yes, and Tech has just state-of-the-art materials, for them to learn on. I know that I graduated from Tech, let's say, a few years ago, and from looking at what we were using back then and coming in and see this shop now, it makes me sad, very sad. Think of all the hours I would saw on something, and now you push a button, but that's okay. That's all right. But they do learn just out of this world. Things,
right. Walking into this studio today that we're sitting in and recording, there's some 3D printing capacity, and there's a plate of cupcakes on a shelf. I said, "Oh, those look delicious," and they are absolutely fake.
I know, I hate it.
They're plastic, but they look so lifelike. So I'm sure that makes prop construction and all that a different world.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Yeah.
Darn it. But anyway, that's all right. I'm not jealous at all.
So are the plays, the one-act plays for this summer's workshop, are they already chosen? Do the directors have those in mind already?
That's an interesting question. Of course, these 7 that I've got now have been together for a long time. They're very, very good, and they usually have at least 2. They won't tell each other what it is, but they'll have 2 or 3. And then when I get the numbers of how many boys I have, how many girls I have, then they have an idea of which play would actually fit that better. If it's predominantly boys, then, they'll go with that direction. But usually they'll tell me, and I, of course, tell the others. I don't care. But anyway, that way they can kind of feel it out and decide which ones to use. A lot of them are plays that have been in state. Now, we don't, of course, go with the 40 minutes, where ours are 45 or 50, and I whip them because I'm really aiming for 40 minutes, but we don't always get that. But they usually use plays like that are standard one-act shows. Once I see the kids, and they'll kind of decide which one they do. It's really interesting. I guess on their telephone, they do a monologue and send it in to one of our directors who can upload it, and all the other directors can look at it. So we get like 100 monologues, and all the directors have 2 or 3 days to look at them. Then we have live, as once they get here, they do cold readings, and then they're cast pretty quickly so that they can get in, start memorizing. We keep a very solid cast, maybe 10 kids, 12 kids per show, but they have good parts. They're not trees or stumps or something, which I've seen. So anyway, we try to make it very beneficial for them.
Okay. So individual students, families can register for this, and I think local theater teachers obviously might have a little more information, but you don't have to be going through a school or a particular theater program to participate.
You sure don't. We have a lot of individuals that come in, and just look on our UIL website, go to academics, Texas Tech Academics, and you will find it, you just call me, and I'll be glad to get you set up.
Okay. Registration is open officially, I think, through, June 1st?
Through June 1st, but you can sure call me because I don't want to have a student miss this opportunity. It's too neat to do.
It sure sounds like a lot of fun. Any issues in the past with directors really wanting to do the same play, or do they, at that level, kind of collaborate or play nice with each other?
Oh, they play nice with each other because they know what I'll do to them. So they work very well together. It's really cool. I like to see that.
Any highlights from over the years of you doing this that you can remember? Certain students that went on to do great things, or certain productions that were maybe kind of discovered at this camp?
I think the neatest things, of course, there's been some great productions, great acting and everything, but the most special to me is the notes I get after camp. I've had kids say that I had no idea that I had that in me, and I found a new love, a new passion, and a reason to go on. And a boy that's here at Tech, I think he's a sophomore this year, theater major, had scholarships all the way through, my camp and everything. And he told me his sophomore year, he said, "Miss Ray, this is it. This is what I'm going to do forever. It's my heart. And sure enough, he got a scholarship to Tech, and he's working hard, doing a great job. But a lot of ours have gone on into the profession and done a great job. But I just hear from kids after saying what it meant to them. So I think just even finding a passion, you can actually make money doing something else. That's great. But do community theater, do other things that really thrill your soul, So that's really the highlights for me, is the notes I get.
Well, that's great. I'm sure that keeps you coming back year after year and
does.
putting up with the organizational burden of doing it, right?
That's exactly right. That's what keeps it.
Thank you so much for being here today, talking with us. I've been talking with Karen Ray, who's the theater specialist in the Texas Tech UIL office and the impresario, it sounds like, of the Texas Tech Theatre and Technical Camp that's running this summer during July with the public performances on July 20th. So we look forward to seeing any of you in the audience cheering these students on. Thanks very much, Karen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.